The rain fell hard on Tessera 7. Jiwon pulled her hood tighter against the wind. Water ran down her face as she climbed over the wet rocks near the cliff edge. Her sample case banged against her hip with each step. Warning. Storm intensity increasing. Return to station recommended. Her AI assistant spoke into her ear. Just 5 more minutes, Jiwon said. She needed samples from the tidal pools before the big storm hit. Her research on the local water creatures was almost complete. Just a few more samples and she could finish her report. The ocean below crashed against the rocks. White foam sprayed up into the air. Jiwon loved this planet. It reminded her of home, of Busan, of the ocean she grew up beside. That felt like a lifetime ago now. She knelt beside a large pool and pulled out her sample container. The water here was warm, heated by volcanic vents deep below. Strange fish with glowing fins swam in circles. She was about to collect the water when she heard it. A cry. High-pitched and desperate, Jiwon froze. That was not any sound the local animals made. She knew every creature on this part of Tessera 7. This was something different. The cry came again, weaker this time. Jiwon stood and looked around. The rain made it hard to see. Lightning flashed across the dark sky. In that brief light, she saw movement near the edge of the cliff, where the rocks dropped down to a lower level. "Hello?" she called out. Stupid, she thought. What would answer her? But something did. Another cry filled with pain and fear. Jiwon ran toward the sound. Her boots slipped on wet stone, but she kept going. She reached the cliff edge and looked down. Below, about 3 meters down, was another tidal pool. But this one was different. The tide was coming in fast, filling it with rushing water, and trapped inside was a creature. Even in the dim light and rain, Jiwon could see it was beautiful. About the size of a large dog, it had scales that looked like crystal. They caught the light and threw it back in rainbow colors. The creature had small wings currently folded against its back. Its eyes were large and golden, filled with terror. The water was already up to its neck. In minutes, the pool would be completely full. Species unknown. Extreme caution advised. Contact station security immediately, her AI said. Jiwon ignored it. She looked around frantically. There had to be a way down. The creature cried out again. Its head went under the water for a moment, then came back up. It was trying to climb out, but its small claws could not grip the smooth rocks. "The pool walls were too steep. I'm coming," Jiwon shouted. She did not know if it could understand her. She did not care. She found a crack in the cliff face. It was narrow, but she could fit. Jiwon did not think. If she thought, she would remember the safety rules. She would remember protocol. She would call for help and wait, but the creature would be dead by then. Jiwon squeezed into the crack and began climbing down. The rocks were slippery. Her fingers scraped against stone as she searched for handholds. Rain poured into her eyes. Once her foot slipped and she dropped 1/2 meter before catching herself. Her heart hammered in her chest. She reached the bottom just as the water covered the creature completely. "No!" Jiwon jumped into the pool. The warm water soaked through her clothes instantly. She dove under, eyes open despite the salt. There, she saw the creature sinking, its golden eyes closing. Jiwon grabbed it. The creature was heavier than it looked, but not too heavy. She kicked hard and pulled it up. They broke the surface together. The creature gasped and choked. Water sprayed from its mouth and nose. Jiwon held its head above water with one arm while she grabbed the pool's edge with her other hand. "It's okay," she said, breathing hard. "I've got you." The creature's eyes opened. It looked at her. Really looked at her. There was intelligence in those eyes. Understanding, not animal intelligence, something more. A wave crashed into the pool, pushing them both under. Jiwon kicked again, harder. She had to get them out. The pool was filling fast. Soon the waves would be too strong. She spotted a rock ledge just above the waterline. If she could reach it, Jiwon pushed off the pool floor with her feet and threw the creature toward the ledge. It landed on the rock, claws scraping as it tried to hold on. For a terrible moment, Jiwon thought it would slide back into the water, but the creature held on. Its claws found cracks in the stone. Jiwon pulled herself up beside it. They lay there together on the small ledge, both gasping for air. The rain continued to pour down. Lightning flashed overhead. Thunder boomed so loud it shook the rocks. The creature was shaking. Its scales had changed color. Now they were dull gray instead of rainbow bright. Jiwon had studied enough alien biology to know what that meant. The creature was dying. Injured, cold, and in shock, she pulled off her jacket and wrapped it around the small body. The creature made a soft sound, almost like a purr. Its scales flickered with a tiny bit of color, pale blue. "I need to get you somewhere warm," Ji-won said. She looked up. The cliff she had climbed down was impossible to climb back up while holding the creature. But there was another way. A longer path that curved around the rocks. It would take time, but it was safer. Ji-won stood carefully on the wet ledge. She lifted the creature in her arms. It was warm despite being soaked. Heat radiated from its body through the jacket. The creature looked up at her with those golden eyes and made another soft sound. "Don't worry," Ji-won whispered. "I won't let anything happen to you." She began the long climb back to the research station. The path was dangerous in the storm. Several times she almost fell. The creature stayed quiet in her arms, trusting her completely. By the time Ji-won reached the station's outer doors, she was exhausted. Her arms ached. Her legs shook. But the creature was still alive, still warm in her arms. "Warning. Unauthorized biological material detected. Security has been notified," her AI announced as she entered. Ji-won swore under her breath. Of course, the scanners would detect the creature. She had to move fast. She avoided the main corridors and took the service tunnels instead. Her quarters were in the north wing, away from the central areas. If she was lucky, she could get there before security found her. Her door slid open and she rushed inside. The lights came on automatically. Ji-won laid the creature gently on her bed and grabbed towels from the bathroom. She dried the creature carefully, avoiding the small wings that looked fragile. As she worked, she got her first real look at what she had saved. The creature was definitely young, a baby, or maybe a child. Its body was sleek and elegant, covered in those crystal-like scales. The wings were translucent with delicate veins running through them. It had 4 legs, each ending in small claws. Its tail was long and thin, curled around its body. But it was the markings that made Ji-won catch her breath. Running along the creature's spine were bioluminescent patterns. They glowed softly, pulsing with a gentle rhythm. The patterns were complex and beautiful, almost like writing. "What are you?" Ji-won whispered. The creature opened its eyes and looked at her. The scales around its face shifted color, from gray to soft pink. Then it did something that made Ji-won's heart melt. It pressed its small head against her hand. "You need a name," Ji-won said softly. She thought for a moment. "Hana, I'll call you Hana." The creature, Hana, made that purring sound again. Her scales brightened just a little, showing hints of gold and green. Outside Ji-won's door, she heard footsteps. Heavy boots. Security. Ji-won looked at Hana and made a decision. Whatever this creature was, wherever it came from, it had been left to die. Someone had left it in that pool to drown. And Ji-won would not let anyone take Hana away, not without a fight. The footsteps passed by Ji-won's door. She held her breath and waited. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Finally, silence. Ji-won let out the breath she was holding. That was close. Too close. She looked at Hana, who was now curled up on a pile of towels. The small creature's eyes were half closed. Her scales still looked dull and gray. She needed medical help, but Ji-won could not take her to the station's medical bay. Too many questions. Too many people. "Okay, think," Ji-won said to herself. She pulled out her personal medical scanner, the one she used for field research. It was not designed for unknown species, but it was better than nothing. She ran the scanner over Hana's body. The results made her eyes go wide. Hana's neural patterns were incredibly complex, more complex than most species in the Galactic Council. Her genetic markers were unique, nothing in any database matched them. And her body temperature was dangerously low. Ji-won grabbed heating pads from her emergency supplies and arranged them around Hana. The creature made a small, grateful sound and moved closer to the warmth. Her scales flickered with a bit more color. For 3 days, Ji-won stayed in her quarters as much as possible. She told her supervisor she was sick. She avoided video calls, and she spent every free moment caring for Hana. The creature was recovering. Slowly but steadily, her scales grew brighter each day. She started moving around the small room, exploring everything with curious golden eyes. And she was smart, incredibly smart. On the 2nd day, Hana figured out how to open the food storage unit. On the 3rd day, she learned which button controlled the lights. She would turn them on and off, watching the result with what looked like fascination. Ji-won started to understand that Hana was not just intelligent like a dolphin or an ape. Hana was intelligent like a person. You understand me, don't you? Ji-won asked on the fourth morning. She was sitting on the floor with Hana, feeding her small pieces of protein bar. It was not ideal food, but Hana seemed to like it. Hana tilted her head and looked at Ji-won. Her scales shifted to a warm golden color. Then she did something amazing. She reached out with one small claw and touched Ji-won's hand gently. Once, then twice, then 3 times. Ji-won had just given her 3 pieces of food. "Oh my God," Ji-won whispered. "You're counting." A knock on the door made them both jump. Ji-won quickly scooped Hana up and put her in the bathroom. "Stay quiet," she whispered. Hana's scales turned dark blue. A color Ji-won was learning meant worry or fear. Ji-won opened the door just a crack. Outside stood Hyun-woo, one of the station's xenolinguists. He was holding a food container. "You look terrible," Hyun-woo said. "I brought you soup." "Thanks, but I'm fine." Ji-won started to close the door. Hyun-woo put his foot in the gap. "Ji-won, everyone knows you're hiding something. Commander Taemin has been asking questions." Security swept the station twice looking for the unauthorized biosignature. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Really? Because 4 days ago the scanners detected an unknown life form entering the station, and you called in sick the same day." Hyun-woo pushed the door open wider. "Let me help you." Before Ji-won could stop him, he was inside. His eyes went immediately to the bathroom door, which was slightly open. Through the gap, 2 golden eyes stared out. "Ji-won, what is that?" There was no point in lying now. Ji-won sighed and opened the bathroom door fully. Hana stood there, scales shifting nervously between blue and gray. Hyun-woo's mouth fell open. Is that a draconi?" "A what?" "Draconi. They're..." Hyun-woo stepped closer, moving slowly. "They're supposed to be a myth. Ancient stories. Dragons from the old star charts." He knelt down, eyes wide with wonder. "But she's real." Hana took a small step forward. Her scales shifted to light pink. She sniffed the air near Hyun-woo, then looked back at Ji-won as if asking permission. "It's okay," Ji-won said softly. "He's a friend." Hana walked up to Hyun-woo and touched his hand with her nose. Her scales turned a brighter pink with swirls of gold. "She's beautiful," Hyun-woo breathed. "Where did you find her?" Ji-won told him everything. The tidal pool. The rescue. The days of hiding. Hyun-woo listened, his expression growing more serious. "Ji-won, if she really is draconi, this is bigger than you know. The old stories say they were one of the first intelligent species in the galaxy. Powerful, dangerous, and very protective of their own. Someone left her to die," Ji-won said firmly. "In that pool alone." "What kind of protection is that?" "Maybe it was an accident." "It wasn't." Ji-won pulled up her scanner readings. "Look at this. I found these yesterday when I did a full body scan." The image showed Hana's small body. On her back legs were marks. Burn marks, perfectly circular. "Those are restraint burns," Hyun-woo said quietly. "Someone tied her down." Ji-won nodded, her jaw tight. "They left her there on purpose." "To drown." Hyun-woo sat down heavily on Ji-won's bed. Hana climbed up beside him and curled into a ball. Without thinking, he started gently stroking her head. Her scales turned soft green. "We need to help you communicate with her," Hyun-woo said. "If she's as intelligent as I think, she might be able to tell us what happened." "How?" Hyun-woo smiled. "I'm a xenolinguist. Communication is what I do." For the next week, Hyun-woo visited Ji-won's quarters every day. He brought equipment from his lab, smuggling it in bit by bit. Together, they built a simple communication interface. It used light patterns. Hana could touch different colored pads, and each pad represented a concept. Red for danger, blue for water, green for safe, yellow for food. They started simple, but Hana learned fast. Incredibly fast. Within 3 days, she was combining the pads to create more complex ideas. Blue-red meant dangerous water. Green-yellow meant safe food. She was creating sentences. "This is unbelievable," Hyun-woo said, watching Hana work through a new pattern. "She's learning faster than any species on record. Faster than human children." Ji-won felt a surge of pride. She's special. On the 8th day, Hana did something that changed everything. She touched a sequence of pads. Blue, red, small creature symbol. Falling symbol, alone symbol. Small creature in dangerous water, falling alone, Hyun-woo translated. Is she talking about herself? Hana touched more pads. Big creature symbol, push symbol, small creature symbol, water symbol. Big creature pushed small creature into water, Jiwan whispered. Her hands clenched into fists. Hana was not finished. She touched the pads again and again, building a story. Big creatures. Many of them. Looking at small creature, pushing small creature away, leaving small creature in water. They threw you away, Jiwan said, her voice breaking. Because you were small. Hana's scales turned dark gray. She touched one more sequence. Weak symbol. Bad symbol. Not wanted symbol. Jiwan knelt down and pulled Hana into her arms. The creature pressed against her, making soft sounds. You're not weak. You're not bad. And you are wanted. I want you. Hana's scales slowly changed to warm gold. Hyunwoo wiped his eyes. Jiwan, there's something else you need to know. I've been researching the Draconi legends. They practice something called culling. The weak offspring are removed, left to die. It's how they keep their species strong. That's barbaric, that's their culture. Hyunwoo looked worried, and if the legends are true, they don't like outsiders interfering. A loud alarm suddenly blared through the station. Red lights flashed in Jiwan's quarters. Emergency. All personnel report to briefing room. Emergency. The announcement repeated 3 times. Jiwan and Hyunwoo looked at each other. Something was very wrong. Stay here, Jiwan told Hana. Hide in the bathroom. Don't make any sounds. Hana's scales turned deep blue. She touched the communication pad. Danger symbol. Over and over, I know, Jiwan said. But I have to go. I'll come back. I promise. She and Hyunwoo ran to the briefing room. The corridors were full of people, all looking scared. When they arrived, Commander Taemin was standing in front of a large screen. On the screen was an image that made Jiwan's blood run cold. Ships, dozens of them, massive vessels surrounding Tessera 7. They were like nothing in the Galactic Council database. Dark metal. Strange designs. And powerful. The energy readings were off the charts. What are those? Someone asked. Taemin's face was grim. We don't know. They appeared 10 minutes ago. And they're broadcasting a message. Just one sentence repeating over and over. He played the audio. It was a voice, deep, ancient, and filled with anger. Return what was taken, or your world burns. Jiwan felt her legs go weak. She grabbed Hyunwoo's arm. They came for her, she whispered. They came for Hana. The briefing room erupted in chaos. Everyone was talking at once, voices rising in panic and confusion. Quiet, Commander Taemin shouted. Everyone calm down. Jiwan stood frozen near the back of the room. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. Those ships were here for Hana, she knew it. But how did they know Hana was here? Hyunwoo leaned close and whispered, Don't say anything. Not yet. On the screen, the massive ships hung in space like dark clouds. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Their hulls seemed to shimmer almost like scales. We've tried to communicate, Taemin said, but they only repeat that one message. Return what was taken or your world burns. What did we take? Asked Bora, the chief security officer. She was a tough woman with sharp eyes that missed nothing. That's what we need to figure out. Taemin pulled up a list on the screen. All recent research projects. All equipment brought to the station. All biological samples. I want everything checked and double-checked. Jiwan felt sick. She had to tell them. She had to explain about Hana. But if she did, what would happen? Would they give Hana back to the creatures who had tried to kill her? The meeting lasted an hour. Taemin organized search teams. Bora started security sweeps. Everyone had a job. Everyone except Jiwan, who stood quietly and tried not to look guilty. Finally, people started to leave. Jiwan turned to go. Jiwan, Hyunwoo, stay behind. Taemin's voice cut through the noise. Jiwan's stomach dropped. She and Hyunwoo walked slowly to the front of the room. When everyone else was gone, Taemin closed the door. I'm going to ask you once, Taemin said quietly, and I want the truth. Do you know what this is about? Jiwan looked at the floor. She had never been good at lying. Commander, there are circumstances, Hyunwoo started. Yes or no? Jiwan took a deep breath and looked up. Yes, I know what they want. Taemin closed his eyes for a moment. Tell me. So Jiwan told him everything. The rescue Hana, the communication device. The story of how Hana was thrown away to die. Taemin listened without interrupting. When Jiwan finished, he walked to the window and stared out at the dark ships in space. Show me, he said finally. They went to Jiwan's quarters. Hana was hiding under the bed. When Ji-won called her name, the small creature crawled out slowly. Her scales were almost black with fear. "It's okay," Ji-won said softly. "Come here." Hana ran to Ji-won and climbed into her arms. She was shaking. Taemin stared at Hana for a long moment. "My God, she's just a baby." "She's intelligent," Hyunwoo said. "More intelligent than most species we know. Watch." He activated the communication pad. "Hana, can you tell the commander your name?" Hana touched the pads carefully. The device spoke in a flat computer voice. "Name, Hana, given by friend Ji-won." Taemin sat down heavily. "How long have you had her?" 11 days, Ji-won said. "And in 11 days, she learned to communicate?" "She's incredibly smart," Ji-won said. "And she was left to die, Commander. Someone tied her up and left her in a tidal pool to drown. I have the scans to prove it. That doesn't matter right now." Taemin rubbed his face. "What matters is that we have something they want. And they have enough firepower to destroy this entire station. We can't give her back," Ji-won said firmly. "They'll kill her. We don't know that. Yes, we do." Hyunwoo pulled up his research on the Draconi legends. They practice culling. The weak are removed. That's their way. Taemin read through the files. His expression grew darker. "This is a myth, a legend. We don't know if it's true." "Those ships out there aren't a myth," Ji-won said. An alarm sounded. Bora's voice came over the intercom. "Commander, you need to see this now." They ran to the command center. On the main screen, one of the ships was moving closer to the station. It was enormous, easily 10 times the size of their entire research facility. "They're hailing us," the communications officer said. "Audio and video. Put it through," Taemin ordered. The screen changed. Ji-won gasped. The creature on the screen was massive. She was like Hana but huge and ancient and powerful. Her scales were deep purple and black, with silver markings that glowed. Her eyes were the same golden color as Hana's but filled with cold intelligence. Wings spread behind her, each one bigger than a shuttle. "I am Velastria, matriarch of the Draconi," the creature said. Her voice was deep and commanding. "You have taken something that belongs to me. Return it now or I will reduce your station to atoms." Taemin stepped forward. "I am Commander Taemin of the Galactic Council Research Station Tessara 7. We have taken nothing from you." "Do not lie to me, human." Velastria's eyes narrowed. "I can sense her. My daughter. She is in your station. Daughter." The word hit Ji-won like a physical blow. Hana was this creature's daughter? "If she is your daughter, why did you leave her to die?" Ji-won shouted before she could stop herself. Taemin shot her a warning look, but it was too late. Velastria's massive head turned, focusing on Ji-won. "Who are you?" "My name is Ji-won, and I found your daughter drowning in a tidal pool. She had burn marks from restraints. Someone left her there on purpose." "Of course we did." Velastria said it like it was obvious. She was weak, small, unable to defend herself. She needed to prove her strength by surviving alone. "She's a baby," Ji-won shouted. "How is a baby supposed to survive being drowned?" "Through power. Through will. Through the strength of her bloodline." Velastria's scales rippled with anger. But instead of using her own power, she allowed a lesser species to interfere. "She has failed the test. She has brought shame to our pack." "Shame?" Ji-won could not believe what she was hearing. "The only shame is leaving a child to die." "You know nothing of our ways, human. I know wrong when I see it." "Ji-won, that's enough," Taemin said quietly. But his hand on her shoulder was gentle, not harsh. Velastria studied Ji-won with those ancient eyes. "You are the one who took her from the water?" "Yes." "Then you are the one who has violated our most sacred law. You interfered with the testing. You weakened my daughter by helping her." Velastria's voice grew cold. "For this crime you will die. And the weak child who accepted your help will die with you." "No." Ji-won stepped forward. "You can't. I can do whatever I wish, human. I am matriarch. My word is law." Velastria leaned closer to the screen. "You have 1 hour. Bring my daughter to the docking bay. You will both face execution for your crimes. If you refuse, I will destroy your station and everyone in it." The screen went black. The command center was silent. Everyone stared at Ji-won. Bora spoke first. "We have to give them what they want. We can't let everyone die for one creature." "She's not one creature," Ji-won said. "She's a person, an intelligent being, and she doesn't deserve to die." Neither do the 200 people on this station, Bora shot back. Enough, Taemin said. Everyone out. I need to think. The room emptied slowly. People gave Ji-won dark looks as they passed. She understood. They were scared. They had families, friends, lives they wanted to protect. When only Ji-won, Hyunwoo, and Taemin remained, the commander sat down. I need options, he said. We could run. Hyunwoo suggested. Take a shuttle. Get Ji-won and Hana away from here. They'd destroy the station anyway, Taemin said. And they'd hunt you down. You heard her. This is about honor now. About their law. Ji-won felt tears burning in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. I won't let them kill Hana. I saved her life. I'm not going to hand her over to be executed. Even if it means everyone here dies? Taemin asked. It was the hardest question Ji-won had ever been asked. Could she trade 200 lives for one? Could she live with that choice? There has to be another way, she whispered. Taemin looked at her for a long moment. Then he did something surprising. He smiled. Just a little. You know what? You're right. There has to be another way. He stood up. And we have 1 hour to find it. What are you thinking? Hyunwoo asked. I'm thinking that the Draconi aren't the only ones with laws and honor. The Galactic Council has rules too. And one of those rules is that we don't hand over refugees to be executed. Taemin pulled up a legal database. If we can prove Hana is a refugee seeking asylum, we can invoke council protection. Will that stop them from destroying the station? Ji-won asked. I don't know, Taemin admitted. But it's better than just giving up. Ji-won looked out the window at the dark ships hovering in space. Somewhere on one of those ships was Velastria waiting, counting down the minutes. I need to talk to Hana, Ji-won said. She deserves to know what's happening. She ran back to her quarters. Hana was waiting by the door, scales shifting rapidly through colors. Blue, gray, black, red. She was terrified. Ji-won picked her up and held her close. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. I promise. Hana touched the communication pad with a shaking claw. Friend, safe. Question symbol. I don't know if we'll be safe, Ji-won said honestly, but I'm going to fight for you. With everything I have. Hana pressed her small head against Ji-won's chest. Her scales slowly turned a soft pink, then gold, and for the first time since the ships arrived, Ji-won felt hope. The station was in chaos. People ran through the corridors, grabbing emergency supplies and sending messages to loved ones. Everyone knew they might die in the next hour. Ji-won held Hana close as she walked to the command center. Other crew members stared at them. Some looked angry. Some looked scared. One woman, Daon from the medical bay, reached out and gently touched Hana's head as they passed. She's so small, Daon whispered. Just a baby. In the command center, Taemin was arguing with someone on a video screen. He was a Galactic Council official, a blue-skinned alien with too many eyes. Cannot invoke refugee status without proper documentation, the official was saying. There's no time for documentation, Taemin shouted. We have 30 minutes before they attack. Then I suggest you comply with their demands, Commander. The screen went dark. Taemin slammed his fist on the console. Bureaucrats, he muttered. Then he saw Ji-won and Hana. His expression softened. How is she? Scared, Ji-won said. Hana's scales were dark blue, almost black. We all are. Taemin knelt down to Hana's level. Little one, I'm sorry. I tried to find a legal way to protect you. But the council won't help us without paperwork, and we don't have time. Hana looked at him with those big golden eyes. She reached out with one small claw and touched his hand gently. She's saying thank you, Ji-won said quietly. For trying. Bora entered the command center. Behind her were Min-soo, the station engineer, Jae-hyun, the pilot, and several others. Commander, we need to make a decision, Bora said. We have 28 minutes. I know how much time we have, Taemin snapped. The crew is asking questions. They want to know if we're going to surrender the creature. Her name is Hana, Ji-won said firmly. And no, we're not surrendering her. Bora's eyes flashed with anger. You would let everyone die for one animal? She's not an animal, Ji-won shouted back. She's intelligent. She can communicate. She understands what's happening right now. I don't care if she can write poetry, Bora said. She's not worth 200 human lives. Actually, a quiet voice said, I think she is. Everyone turned. Dayoon stood in the doorway. Behind her were more crew members. At least 30 people. What are you doing? Bora demanded. We took a vote, Daun said, among the medical and science teams. We're not handing over a child to be executed. That's not who we are. Min-Su stepped forward. The engineering team agrees. We didn't come out here to betray our principles. Your principles won't matter when you're dead, Bo-Ra said. Maybe not, Jae-hyun said. But at least we'll die as humans, not as cowards. Taemin looked around the room at his crew.
Slowly he nodded.
Then we make a stand. All of us together. This is insane, Bo-Ra said. But even she didn't leave. What's the plan, Commander? Min-Su asked. Honestly, I don't have one. Except we refuse their demands and hope they're bluffing about destroying the station. They're not bluffing, Hyun-woo said. He had been working at a console in the corner. I've been studying their ships. Those weapons are real and powered up. They could reduce this station to dust in seconds. The room fell silent. Ji-won looked down at Hana. The small creature was shaking. Her scales flickered through colors rapidly. Fear, sadness, confusion. An idea hit Ji-won. A crazy, desperate idea. What if we talk to them? She said, not through a screen. Face to face. They want you dead, Bo-Ra said. Walking into their ship is suicide. Maybe. But what if I can make them understand? What if I can show them that Hana didn't fail their test? That she passed it in a different way? Taemin frowned. What do you mean? Ji-won spoke quickly, the idea forming as she talked. They left Hana to die to test her strength, right? To see if she was strong enough to survive. Well, she did survive. She was smart enough to call for help. Smart enough to recognize an ally. That's a different kind of strength. They won't see it that way, Hyun-woo said. Then I'll make them see it. Ji-won set Hana down gently and activated the communication pad. Hana, I need to ask you something important. Will you come with me to meet your mother? Hana's scales turned pure black. Danger symbol. Death symbol. Fear symbol. I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But we have to try. Ji-won knelt down. I won't let her hurt you. I promise. Hana looked at Ji-won for a long moment. Then she touched the pad. Friend symbol. Trust symbol. Together symbol. Together, Ji-won agreed. I'm coming with you, Taemin said. Me too, said Da-eun. And me, Hyun-woo added. Soon half the command center had volunteered. Ji-won felt tears in her eyes. These people were willing to die for Hana, for a creature they barely knew. No, she said. Just me and Hana. If things go wrong, I don't want anyone else to die. Things are already wrong, Taemin said. And you're not doing this alone. That's an order. 10 minutes later, a small shuttle left the station. Inside were Ji-won, Hana, Taemin, Hyun-woo, and Da-eun. They flew toward the largest Draconi ship. As they got closer, Ji-won could see details of the vessel. It looked organic, like it had been grown instead of built. The hull really did look like scales, massive and ancient and powerful. A docking bay opened like a mouth and they flew inside. The bay was huge. The shuttle looked like a toy inside it. When they landed and opened the door, Ji-won gasped. The Draconi were waiting for them. There were at least 20 of them. Each one was massive, easily 5 meters tall. Their scales glowed with different colors, purple, green, red, gold. Their wings were folded against their backs, but Ji-won could tell they were enormous. And in the center, largest of all, was Velastria. The matriarch was terrifying up close. Her scales were so dark they seemed to absorb light. Silver markings glowed on her body like stars. Her eyes fixed on Ji-won with an intensity that made her want to run. You came, Velastria said. Her voice echoed through the bay. I did not think you would have the courage. I came to talk, Ji-won said. Her voice shook, but she forced herself to stay calm. To make you understand? There is nothing to understand. You broke our law. You interfered with the testing. You will both die for this crime. No. Ji-won stepped forward, putting herself between Velastria and Hana. You're wrong about your daughter. She didn't fail your test. She accepted help from a lesser being. That is failure. No, that is intelligence. Ji-won's fear was turning into anger now. You left her to die alone. But she was smart enough to know she couldn't survive by herself. So she called for help. She recognized an ally. She adapted to her situation. That's not weakness. That's strength. One of the other Draconi laughed. It was a terrible sound, like rocks grinding together. The human thinks to teach us about strength? Yes, I do, Ji-won said. Because you're so focused on physical power that you can't see any other kind. Velastria's eyes narrowed. Explain. Ji-won took a deep breath. In 11 days, Hana learned to communicate using a device. She can count. She can express complex ideas. She's smarter than most adult species in the galaxy. Intelligence without power is useless, Velastria said. Is it? Then how did humans become part of the Galactic Council? We're not the strongest. We're not the fastest. But we're smart. We adapt, we make allies, we survive. Hyunwoo stepped forward. Commander, may I? Ji-won nodded. Hyunwoo activated a portable hologram projector. Images appeared in the air. Scans of Hana's brain, recordings of her using the communication pad. Data showing her learning speed. This child is extraordinary, Hyunwoo said. Her neural development is off the charts. She's learning faster than any species on record. That's not weakness. That's evolution. The Draconi Council members murmured among themselves. Velastria silenced them with a look. You show me tricks and games, she said. This proves nothing. Then let me prove it another way, Ji-won said. Your traditions say Hana must prove her strength, right? Then test her. But test her intelligence, not just her physical power. We do not change our traditions for outsiders. I'm not asking you to change them. I'm asking you to expand them. Ji-won's mind was racing. Test the bond between us. Isn't that strength too? The ability to form connections? To create loyalty? Velastria was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. There is one test. The mind bond. Two beings link their consciousnesses telepathically. If the bond is true and strong, both survive. If it is weak or false, both die. Ji-won, no, Taemin said. You don't know what that could do to you. Humans cannot survive the mind bond, one of the Draconi said. Their neural structures are too fragile. It will kill her. Then it will prove the bond is weak, Velastria said. And you will both die, as the law demands. Ji-won looked down at Hana. The small creature looked up at her with those trusting golden eyes. I'll do it, Ji-won said. Ji-won? Da-un started. I'll do it, Ji-won repeated. What do I need to do? Velastria studied her. For the first time, something like respect flickered in those ancient eyes. You would risk your life for a creature you have known only 11 days? I would risk my life for someone I care about, Ji-won said simply. That's what you do for family. Velastria's scales rippled with an emotion Ji-won couldn't read. Very well. We will perform the mind bond. If you survive, I will hear your argument. If you die... She looked at Hana. Then my daughter dies with you, as is fitting. No pressure. Ji-won muttered. Velastria's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. Prepare yourself, human. This will be the hardest thing you have ever done. Ji-won knelt down and picked up Hana. The small creature's scales were cycling through colors: fear, hope, trust, love. Together, Ji-won whispered. Hana touched her communication pad one last time. Together symbol. Always symbol. Let us begin, Velastria said. The Draconi formed a circle around Ji-won and Hana. Their scales began to glow, creating a ring of light in the dark bay. Velastria stepped forward and placed one massive claw on Hana's head. The mind bond is sacred, Velastria said. It reveals truth. It cannot be faked or forced. Either your bond is real or you both will die. Ji-won's heart pounded. Dayun had warned her before they entered the bay. The Draconi mind bond had killed other species before. The neural pressure was too intense for most brains to handle, but Ji-won had made her choice. I'm ready, she said. Place your hand on my daughter's head, Velastria instructed. Ji-won set Hana down gently and placed her hand on the small creature's head. Hana's scales were warm under her palm. The little dragon looked up at her with complete trust. Close your eyes, Velastria said. Both of you. Open your minds, Ji-won closed her eyes. For a moment, nothing happened. Then pain exploded through her head. It felt like her skull was being split open. Ji-won gasped and almost pulled her hand away. But she felt Hana shaking under her palm and forced herself to hold on. The pain grew worse. White light flashed behind her eyes. She heard Taemin shouting her name, but his voice sounded far away. Then suddenly, the pain stopped. Ji-won opened her eyes, but she was not in the docking bay anymore. She was underwater, in the tidal pool where she had found Hana. But she was not herself. She was Hana. Small and scared and drowning, Ji-won felt the water filling her lungs, felt the terror of not being able to breathe. felt the weight of the restraints that had held her down until someone had burned through them. She felt betrayal, deep and crushing. Her own pack had left her here. Her own mother had watched them do it. The memory shifted. Now Jiwan was even younger. She was with other baby Draconi, all larger than her. They pushed her aside when food came. They laughed when she could not fly as high. They called her weak, broken, useless, and the adults watched and did nothing. Another shift. The day of the test. Being carried to the tidal pool. Struggling and crying. Being held down in the water. Looking up through the waves and seeing her mother's face, cold, disappointed. "Prove yourself or die," Velastria had said. And then they left her there. Jiwan felt Hana's despair, the certainty that she would die, that she was not strong enough, that she was everything they said she was, weak, broken, useless. But then, hope. A sound above the water, a voice calling out. Strong hands pulling her up into the air, and warm brown eyes looking at her with kindness, with concern, with something Hana had never seen before. Someone cared if she lived. The memories shifted again, but now they were Jiwan's memories. Hana was experiencing them through the bond. Jiwan's childhood in Busan, her family laughing on the beach, her mother teaching her to swim, her father showing her the stars, then darkness, the mining accident, the message that they were gone. All of them. Her parents, her little brother. Everyone she loved buried under a collapsed tunnel, Jiwan's guilt. She had been off-planet at university, safe. Why did she get to live when they died? Her decision to volunteer for the most dangerous, most isolated research positions, because if she could not save her family, maybe she could save something else, someone else, and then Hana, small and drowning and alone. In that moment, Jiwan had not seen a creature. She had seen her little brother. She had seen every person she could not save. And she had decided not this time. This time someone would live. The memories swirled together. Jiwan's pain and Hana's pain. Jiwan's love and Hana's gratitude. Two broken souls finding each other in the dark. And something new formed between them. Something that glowed bright and strong and unbreakable. A bond. Not just friendship. Not just affection. Something deeper. Family. Jiwan gasped and her eyes flew open. She was back in the docking bay, hand still on Hana's head. But something was different. On her arm, glowing softly through her skin, were marks. Bioluminescent patterns just like the ones on Hana's spine. They pulsed with golden light. The Draconi circle stepped back, murmuring in their language. Velastria stared at Jiwan's arm. For the first time, the ancient matriarch looked shocked. "Impossible," she whispered. "She bears the mark." "The pack mark, what does that mean?" Taemin asked. One of the elder Draconi stepped forward. His scales were pale with age, covered in scars. The pack mark appears only when a bond is absolute. When two souls recognize each other as family. I have lived for 3,000 years and seen it only twice before. Velastria circled Jiwan slowly, studying her. A human bearing the pack mark. This should not be possible. But it is possible, the elder said. The mark does not lie. This human and your daughter are bonded. True bonded. Jiwan looked down at Hana. The little dragon's scales were glowing the brightest gold Jiwan had ever seen. Hana made a happy chirping sound and pressed against Jiwan's legs. Through the bond, Jiwan could still feel it, warm and present in her mind. She felt Hana's joy. Her love. Her absolute certainty that Jiwan would protect her. And Jiwan felt something else. A new sensation. She looked at Hana, and somehow understood what the little dragon was thinking. Not words exactly, but feelings and concepts. Safe, home, pack, alpha. Alpha, Jiwan said aloud. Velastria's eyes widened even more. You understand her thoughts? Yes, I think so. Jiwan touched her glowing arm. She's calling me Alpha. The Draconi circle erupted in shocked sounds. Several of them spread their wings in what looked like alarm. Explain this to me, Taemin demanded. What's happening? The elder Draconi spoke. In our pack structure, the Alpha is the leader. The protector. The one all others follow. He looked at Hana, then at Jiwan. The child has marked this human as her pack Alpha. Not as a companion. Not as a friend. As her leader. But that means... Velastria stopped, seeming unable to continue. It means the human leads the child, the elder finished. Not the other way around. In all of Draconi history, only Draconi have been pack alphas. G1 felt everyone staring at her. I don't understand. I didn't ask to be anyone's leader. You do not ask, the elder said. The pack chooses, and Hana has chosen you. Velastria was quiet for a long time. The massive matriarch looked at her daughter, then at G1, then at the glowing marks on G1's arm. Finally, she spoke. I came here to execute my daughter for failing the test, to punish the human who interfered. She paused. But I see now that I was wrong, the other Draconi murmured in shock. Apparently, their matriarch did not admit being wrong very often. My daughter did not fail. Velastria continued. She passed the test in a way I did not expect. She survived not through physical strength but through intelligence. She recognized an ally. She formed a bond so strong that it changed the biology of another species. Velastria looked directly at G1. That is not weakness. That is the highest form of strength. G1 could barely breathe. Does that mean... It means you may keep your life. And my daughter's life. Velastria stepped closer, her massive form towering over G1. But there is a price. On what price? You have been marked as her alpha. That is a sacred bond among our kind. You cannot break it. You cannot abandon her. You must protect her, teach her, guide her, for the rest of her life. Velastria's eyes bore into G1's. Can you make that promise? G1 looked down at Hana. The little dragon looked back up at her with those trusting golden eyes. Through their bond, G1 felt Hana's hope, her love, her absolute faith that G1 would say yes. Yes, G1 said without hesitation. I promise, Velastria nodded slowly. Then she did something that shocked everyone. She bowed her head to G1. Then I recognize you as pack friend, the first non-Draconi to ever hold that title. The other Draconi bowed their heads as well. Furthermore, Velastria said, the Draconi owe you a debt. You saved my daughter's life. You showed me that our traditions, while strong, are not perfect, that there is value in compassion as well as in power. She turned to her council. From this day forward, the testing will change. Young ones who cannot pass the physical trials will be given other chances to prove their intelligence, their strategic thinking, their ability to form alliances. She looked back at G1. Because this human has shown us that strength comes in many forms. Taemin stepped forward. Does this mean the station is safe? The station is safe, Velastria confirmed. More than safe. The Draconi will offer protection treaties, technology exchange, cultural programs, she paused. And there is one more thing. What's that? G1 asked. Other young ones, those who have been cast aside as too weak. There are more of them than you know, left on planets across the galaxy. Velastria's voice was heavy with shame. I would ask that you take them in. Teach them as you have taught my daughter. Show them that weakness can become strength. G1's eyes went wide. You want me to take in more Draconi children? If you are willing, we will provide resources, ships, supplies, whatever you need. Velastria looked at Hana. My daughter has found something special with you. I would not deny that chance to others. G1 looked at Taemin. The commander was smiling. I think the research station just became a school, he said. 3 months later, G1 stood on the observation deck of Tessara 7. The station had been expanded, with new wings built specifically for the Draconi younglings. Hana sat beside her, now twice as large as before. She was learning to fly, her translucent wings catching the sunlight. Through their bond, G1 felt Hana's excitement. Below, in the training area, 5 more young Draconi played under Hyunwoo's supervision. Each one had been deemed too weak by their packs. Each one had been given a second chance. Daun worked in the medical bay developing new treatments specifically for young Draconi. Minsu built special equipment scaled for smaller dragons. Jaehyun taught flight techniques. The station that had once been just a research facility was now something more. A home, a school, a place where the weak could become strong. Velastria visited once a month bringing news from the Draconi homeworld. She and G1 had formed a strange friendship. The ancient matriarch often asked G1's advice on how to change old traditions. Ready for today's lesson? G1 asked Hana. Through their bond, she felt Hana's answer. Always. With you, Alpha. G1 smiled and placed her hand on Hana's head. The pack marks on her arm glowed softly. She had come to Tessara 7 looking for a way to cope with her grief, to find purpose after losing her family. Instead, she had found a new family, one that spanned species, One built not on biology but on choice, on love, on the strength that came from protecting those who needed protection. The galaxy had changed. And it had started with one human woman refusing to let a child drown. "Come on," Ji-won said. "The others are waiting." Together, the human and her dragon walked toward the training area, where more broken younglings waited to learn that they were not broken at all. They were just different, and different could be strong. The end.